Warning, this episode contains words that some people might find offensive.
Inconceivable!
Will you please act like you have more than a two-word vocabulary?
Is there air? You don't know!
And now, a yak.
Yak!
Hey, don't touch that dial. You found Secular Yakking.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Amy.
After years,
No, many years of yakking at each other.
we're here to yak at you.
So sit back and enjoy the yakking.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Yep, it's been another week.
It has been another week.
Yes, it has.
It's been a very, very interesting week.
Yes, very active week.
Yes, very active. Mm-hmm. But let's get moving with the show.
Yes, please do.
We have Twitter followers.
Excellent.
So we have ReasonCon, The Four Horsemen, Skeptics in the Pub, James Kyson, Lungs Need Clean Air, Brain Babe PhD, and Michael Sexton.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More followers, and you can follow us.
At
What do you think it is?
probably just crappy old boring secular yakking.
That is correct.
Just-
Secular yakking.
It just seems short. I know I say it every time, gets old, but all right, fine. Nothing spiffy about it.
Okay, not a
All
problem.
All right, let's go.
So, there's a rally in 2 weeks.
Yes, that's right, the 29th.
Yes, at the East North Lawn. I still can't
I
figure
was
out
going
which
to
one
say,
it
you're
is.
going to get this right?
No,
It's the front yard.
it's on the East Campus North Lawn
Okay.
in
You
Olympia.
sure?
Yes, I'm sure of that.
Okay.
In Olympia at 11 a.m.
On the 29th.
on the 29th. And we are there to oppose Franklin Graham.
Right, I was going to say Billy Graham's kid.
Yeah, Billy Graham's kid.
Well, not a kid anymore, but yeah.
He's older than I am.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, we're also there to promote secular government. And that's what we're going to talk about, because Billy Graham is there to talk about Christian government.
Which to me just, they don't go together.
No, they do not.
Ever.
So, we're going to have some good speakers.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we're going to have Travis Simmons, Sam Mulvey,
Yep.
Bob Seinstecker, Rebecca Friedman, Tarkus Claypool, and Scott Bastian, and me.
And you.
And me.
That'll be interesting.
That will be interesting.
Yes, it will.
And I just heard that Tom may actually write a short statement for me to read.
Oh,
So that'll be cool.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, we're going to have a table set up so you can talk to people who might know a little bit about the thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's going to be a long day.
and it is going to be a long day.
Yeah, I think
But it'll
so.
be fun.
Yeah.
So bring chairs and signs and stuff. I'll
Yeah.
have some signs there too, but I don't have enough for everybody, I don't think.
Well, can't you write on them or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, just make sure big fat markers.
I have the big fat marker.
Okay, excellent.
It's one of the packages that came in today.
Yes, the 8 million packages we keep getting.
I have to have rally supplies.
Yes. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Dina, writer and creator of secularscarlet.wordpress.com blog. With a passion for archaeology and humanities, you can find many subjects addressed, including atheism, religion, women's issues around the world, and articles hitting our news. Come on over and check out what is on my mind this week.
So, something horrible happened a couple days ago.
Yes, as pretty much most people know.
Yeah. There was a horrible tragedy in Orlando. At a gay club.
Right, which we don't usually cover the large stories like this, though.
No, it's not really our thing, but
Yeah.
this time I think it's really important that we do,
Okay.
because of what I think is surrounding this.
Right.
49 people killed and 53 wounded when a religious terrorist opened fire in a crowded nightclub. He was later killed during a standoff with the police. There are reports that say he was anti-gay.
Right.
There are other reports that say he was gay
I've heard.
and was a regular at the club.
Right.
Others say this was motivated by his ties to ISIS.
Right.
But in my honest opinion, none of that really is the issue.
For you.
Well, it is the issue, but
Well,
I think there's one more step that everyone is missing.
The pretty much the background that umbrellas the whole thing, I think.
Yeah. And that is, this is a religiously based hate crime.
Right.
terrorist,
Well,
if you want to be honest.
Yeah, it was labeled as a terrorist crime, but it's also a hate crime.
So you've got people in the media saying, we should label this as Islamic terrorism, right? But I think we should go that one step further and label it religious terrorism.
Well, if you think about it, pretty much, maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, it just seems all the terrorism is religious based. I mean, that's
Most of it is, yes.
That's the driving.
There is political terrorism,
well,
but
yes, that's true. I mean, but it just seems to be the driving force for a lot of this.
yeah, I know it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, there's stuff in almost every monotheistic and a lot of polytheistic religions that are anti-gay.
Pretty much, yeah, most.
Right. So, and it's very frustrating that no one, all the talking heads and all these other people, they're always saying Islamic terrorism, and they refuse to look into their own book.
Right.
Right. There's parts of their own book to tell them to stone gays. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what this guy did.
Or the new, well, I was going to say not the new thing, but the big thing that goes around too with the Christian religion is we can fix it.
Yeah, you can't fix it.
Yeah.
It's not something to fix.
Yeah, that actually winds up going the complete opposite direction, making everything worse, but that's a whole nother story.
I don't think there's a really good non-religious based argument against homosexuality.
No, I haven't really heard one myself either, because it always comes back around to their religious ties is where that comes from.
Yeah, even when the gay marriage thing was going around, it always came back to religion, because their arguments fell flat, except for that one.
Right.
Which that one's a bad one anyway.
Right, yeah.
But it's just ridiculous.
I agree completely.
But I think with this incident, it shows a bigger issue that we need to talk about, that we never, ever talk about on this show.
Well, not just that. A lot of people don't talk about it on their shows. They tend to just avoid it in general.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I think we've avoided it enough.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're going to talk about guns.
Yeah. A lot of shows don't like to discuss the topic of guns. I mean, it's like a taboo thing.
It is, because it's one of the most divisive things in this country. In my opinion, it's the second most divisive thing in this country, with religion being the most.
Uh-huh.
But we talk about religion all the time.
Right.
So I think it's time we actually talked about this.
Yeah. I mean, because you have the whole, firearms things in all sides and all different views of it.
Right. So let's talk about what an assault rifle is.
Okay.
Because that's really what's a question today.
Right.
And I'm not talking about pistols. I'm not talking about shotguns.
Right.
I'm not talking about an actual hunting rifle.
Right.
I'm talking about assault rifles.
I am agreeant right there.
So a firearm classified as an assault rifle is a semi-automatic, has a detachable magazine, and at least two of the following traits. A folding telescopic stock,
Come on, you can say it, babe.
a pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the weapon, a bayonet mount, a flash suppressor or threaded barrel to add a flash suppressor, or a muzzle-mounted grenade launcher.
Right.
So the weapon this guy used,
Right.
which came out, the exact weapon this guy used, everybody was saying is AR-15.
Oh, uh-huh.
It's not. It's a 6-hour MCX.
Oh, see, I didn't hear that part.
Right. I just found out today when I was researching.
Oh, okay.
That the actual weapon this guy used in Orlando is a 6-hour.
Jeez. Yeah, I heard he had three weapons.
Yeah.
Not just three of these, but three weapons.
Right. So what makes a 6-hour an assault rifle?
You'll have to elaborate on that.
It has a folding or telescoping stock.
You just cannot say that, can
Right.
you?
And it's optional. You can have either one.
Oh, okay.
Or both. Because
Okay.
of the way that the SIG is set up.
Oh, okay.
It has a protruding pistol grip.
Really?
It has a flash suppressor and a threaded barrel.
And you can just get a hold of this?
Here's the thing. I went to SIG's website. Their advertisement makes it feel like it's a piece of urban warfare.
Really?
Yeah. Because they show a guy who's going through this target range. And it's not, it's not a lined up target range. He has to go dodge behind things and shoot the targets.
Right.
And the way he's dressed, the way that he's moving, it is urban assault.
Yeah.
They are marketing to an urban assault customer.
So
they are marketing to a civilian that wants to be military. This gun is designed specifically for civilians. It wasn't designed for military.
And that is, I guess, where I have the problem. Why the F does freaking civilian need a weapon like this? Because you sure as shit don't hunt with this.
No, you don't. So this, as I said, it's designed for urban warfare. It's not a hunting rifle.
Right.
It's not for personal protection. And it sure as hell is not for competition shooting. I don't care who the hell you are. This is not for competition shooting.
This is for hunting people down or mowing them down.
Right. This gun is designed to kill people and kill people quickly and silently.
And it's only for killing people, really. I mean,
this thing has no other purpose.
And again, I follow through with why the hell is this gun even in existence?
Right. This should be an upgrade in a video game, not something you can buy at your local shop.
It is an upgrade in video games.
It's like, it's
come to life.
It is. And it's, from what I've read, it's not that hard to make it fully automatic.
Oh, uh-huh.
I could be wrong, but that's what I've read. I don't know this type of firearm very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I trained with the M16, which is similar, but not quite the same.
Right.
This is a civilian thing. They even claim it's done from the ground up.
But, and that's, again, I guess, in my personal view, I don't think civilians should be allowed to get semi-automatic weapons. I think it should only...
Semi-automatic is different. So a semi-automatic pulls when you pull the trigger. A lot of pistols are semi-automatic. A lot of shotguns are semi-automatic. So it's not the semi-automatic that does it. It's everything else around it. It's a folding stock, right? So you can have a stock, or you can do without.
Okay.
And what really points it out to me is the flash suppressor, which keeps the flash from the muzzle from going out, and you can add a silencer.
Right.
That's problematic to me. Why you want a silencer?
So that nobody hears what you're doing.
Well, and if you say it's for hunting, you're a shitty hunter. If you need a 30-round clip to go hunting, you don't need to go hunting.
You'll just obliterate whatever
you need more target practice.
Yeah.
Because seriously, that is not a hunting rifle.
No, it's not. At all.
Right? So, these kinds of weapons were used in 7 of the 10 highest death mass shootings in the last couple decades.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, we got to think, what's the solution here?
That weapons like these shouldn't be legal?
So, here's the thing. We had a solution. From 1994 to 2004, this type of weapon was illegal to manufacture for sale to civilians.
That's what I said.
And during that time frame, there were less deaths for mass shootings. There were still mass shootings, but they were much lower in death. Right,
which is what I always say is if it's illegal to make or obtain these, it does lessen it. No, it's not going to stop it 100%, but it does lessen it. And I can't stand when people say, well, if you make this illegal, only the criminals are going to have them. Bullshit. That's not the case.
No, that's not the case.
And it's statistically proven that that's not the case.
Right.
But, you hear it time and time again.
Yeah. So the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act in 1994 was, like I said, part of the solution. It defined what an assault weapon is, which is where I've got the information from. And it restricted the manufacture of such weapons. Now, what it didn't do, which was a problem, it didn't restrict the sale of existing assault weapons.
Oh, okay.
So if they already existed, you could sell them. It just
wouldn't create more of them. They needed to address the ones that are already in existence.
Right. And in 2004, Congress and George W. Bush ceased to extend it, which is why a law like this needed to be extended. It should have been permanent.
Yeah, the fact that it had a shelf life.
And lo and behold, the deaths and mass murders went up.
Again, statistics don't lie.
The only outlier in this was 1999, and that was when Columbine happened.
Right.
And they didn't have these weapons. They had regular hunting rifles, but they were and they were very good at what they did.
Right.
It was fully planned, and no one expected it. So that
that was a new thing at the time.
Right. So, I'm probably going to piss a few people off with this show. I don't care.
Yeah.
These guns do not need to be in the hand of civilians.
No, absolutely not. And I've said it time and time again. These do not need to be in the hands of civilians, period.
30-round clips? No.
No.
Sorry, you don't need it. Like I said, if you need a 30-round clip, you're a shitty hunter.
There is no reason for it. I don't give a shit, hunting or not. No, there is no reason for that.
So, and someone said, well, I need a bigger clip because when I'm target practicing, I don't want to change my clip out.
Really?
Change your damn clip out. Get a 10-shot clip and change it out.
It's not like, it's serious work to do so. That's a ridiculous excuse.
Yeah. It's frustrating to me.
Yeah.
So, like I said, probably going to piss some people off. Don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. These weapons do not need to be with civilians. The other ones, fine. But something like this, there's no purpose for it other than to just slaughter people.
Yeah, and talk about pissing people off.
Okay.
Tom's back.
That's your segue.
Uh-huh. And he's going to talk about the Second Amendment and the historical context around it.
Oh, okay.
So let's go to Tom.
All right.
All right. Tom is back with us again this week with Yak from the Past.
Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hello. How are you?
I am decent, as can be. It has been
Mediocre.
it has been a difficult few days.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start off with my Book of the Week segment. So one of my favorite time periods is the Age of Discovery. It's just super interesting getting on a boat and finding new lands. So my recommended Book of the Week is Over the Edge of the World by Lawrence Bergreen, and it is a narrative of Magellan's circumnavigation of the world.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to say it's hard-hitting historical analysis, but it's a really, really well-written historical narrative. So I highly recommend that to anybody kind of interested in Age of Discovery. And so then let's jump into the more serious stuff here.
Sure.
I'm going to be breaking one of my own rules and going to be making a political point using history. I don't usually do this, but like I said, I'm breaking my own rules. So,
All right.
So the shooting in Orlando, which everyone's familiar with by now, has sparked a lot of conversation about a lot of different topics, from the culpability of certain religious beliefs in the commission of that massacre to the ever pervasive debate over gun control. And since this is a history segment, I'm going to discuss the topic of guns in America. I'll throw my 2 cents in there, and specifically I'm going to talk about the Second Amendment and its historical context.
Okay.
So the Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Everybody's pretty familiar with this.
Yeah, I think most people are.
So we need to deal with some definitions. So let's start with well-regulated militia.
Okay.
A militia in the context of the 18th century was a group of citizen soldiers raised for a specific period of time, usually 8 months to a year. They're not professional soldiers, but rather military units raised for defensive purposes or as an auxiliary for regular professional military forces. The United States has no modern equivalent to the militias of the 18th century. Not even the state National Guards serve the same function as these militias. So second, keeping and bearing arms. So these are two separate issues. Keeping arms means to store or furnish arms, and bearing arms means actually carrying them in the performance of a military duty.
Okay.
So this is an obvious but an important distinction. As historian Robert H. Churchill pointed out in a 2007 essay, in England, there were certain members of the body politic charged with keeping arms, usually rich people who could afford them, and then a separate category of people that were charged with actually bearing those arms. So keeping and bearing were separate. There was some overlap depending on your social status, but in general, the group of people responsible for keeping arms was not the group responsible for bearing arms.
Right, we couldn't have the rich people out there fighting as well, right?
You wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
This is important because in America, those two separate duties actually became one. A lot of that has to do with just population and money. In the colonies, especially early on in the colonies, everyone needs to serve in the militia because there just isn't the population to separate the two. So this might surprise some of our listeners, but in colonial America, many citizens were actually required not only to bear arms in service with the local militia, but also required to keep arms, even if they did not qualify for militia service because of age or infirmity.
Interesting.
Yes, there were several colonial legislators that had laws specifically said you must keep arms in your house. And the state had, or the colony, state, however you want to phrase that, the government, excuse me, could impress those weapons into service for people who couldn't afford them.
Okay.
So in every colony, with slight variation in the actual numbers, every free white male between the age of 18 and 54 was required to attend muster and submit himself for service in the militia. This didn't necessarily mean that you'd be selected, but you had to present yourself to be selected.
Interesting. Kind of like modern-day jury selection, but with guns.
We'll get to that, actually. You're so smart.
Sometimes I am.
On occasion, it comes through. Militiamen were required to furnish their own arms, although those who were too poor to buy them were furnished at public expense, or the arms of other people were impressed for service. This was a long-standing practice that continued into the Revolutionary War period, as an act by the Virginia General Assembly from 1777 shows. And this act required that, quote, all free male persons, hired servants, and apprentices between the ages of 16 and 50 years shall, by the commanding officer of that county in which they reside, be enrolled or formed into companies, and that each private soldier was to provide himself with a rifle and tomahawk or good firelock and bayonet, with pouch and horn, or cartouche or cartridge box, with 3 charges of powder and ball. So and the other colonies have things that are very, very similar. Like, the details are different, but overall it's the same concept. You know, they might have to have more powder and ball, or the ages might be different.
Right. It's an interesting number, 3 charges.
Yeah, I think that was specifically for muster, so they could test the weapons, because weapons were also cataloged. And this actually isn't in my notes, so I'm kind of going from memory here. But when the people would present themselves for muster, they would come with their weapons, and then it was recorded what man had what weapons. And so there was essentially a registry of weapons.
Oh, okay.
So in a 1788 essay defending the new Constitution, a man named Trench Cox, which is a heck of a name right there, wrote that the Constitution would not give the federal government absolute control of the military, because the powers of the sword, this is quote, the powers of the sword are in the hands of the yeomanry of America from 16 to 60, the militia of these free commonwealths, entitled and accustomed to their arms, when compared with any possible army, must be irresistible. So Americans at the time had a severe distrust of standing armies, which were seen as instruments of oppression. And in fact, until after World War II, the United States either had an extremely small standing army or no national army at all. Armies were raised in times of crisis, like during the Civil War, where most units were state militia units that were placed under federal control, and then quickly disbanded after the crisis had passed. A defensive militia made up of the populace of the individual states was seen as the best way to provide military security while avoiding military tyranny. So this was the militia that Americans would have recognized as being the well-regulated militia mentioned in the Second Amendment.
Okay.
An individual did not just have a right to keep and bear arms, it was a civic duty to do so. And so long as he performed his civic duty, the average American was entitled to keep his arms in a private capacity.
Well, that's very interesting, because it's completely turned around now.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of disagreement among historians about the original intent of the Second Amendment. The research for this was kind of a pain, because there's so much disagreement.
I could see that.
But historian Robert Churchill concludes rightly, I think, that there was an interpretation of the Second Amendment as securing, in part, an individual right to keep arms, and it was contemporaneous with that amendment's founding. So there was an idea that the Second Amendment did, in a specific way, protect an individual right to keep arms, but there were caveats to it.
Right.
The right to keep and bear arms as a private citizen for much of early American history was held in the context of performing a civic duty, i.e. militia service. Very few people at the time would have believed that their right or duty to keep arms privately came without any public obligations.
Well, I could certainly see that.
Yeah. The nearest contemporary example of this would be the right to vote and jury duty, like you mentioned a little bit ago.
Okay.
So you have an unequivocal right to your private vote, but exercising that right comes contingent with performing certain public duties.
Correct.
When you register to vote, you are immediately enrolled to be selected for jury service, regardless of if you actually vote or not. So this isn't a perfect analogy, since nobody can require you to register to vote.
No.
But
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, anyway. There's arguments for that, too. But it's kind of the same concept.
Right.
If someone could require you to vote. So hopefully that leads to some understanding of the concept. Now, the issue that we run into today, and this is where I'm breaking my rule and making a political point, is that the militia system is extinct. We don't have a militia system. We don't even have a draft. There is no longer a public duty that comes along with exercising the right to keep and bear arms. And for this reason, many have concluded, and I'm one of them, that the Second Amendment is outdated and the Constitution needs to be amended to fit our modern circumstances.
I am in agreement with you on that.
Yes, and that is my spiel. So hopefully that gives some context behind what people would have recognized as a well-regulated militia, what that actually meant, what people's civic duties were. The Second Amendment was never written to protect just a private citizen buying a gun for really no reason other than owning it.
Right, which is what we have today.
Which is what we have today, and there's I didn't get into the court rulings about why it is that way today, because I only have 10 or 15 minutes
Right.
for saying you could do a show on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically completely the individual right to keep and bear arms exists, but the caveat part where you also have to serve in the militia doesn't exist anymore. So we're kind of in a weird place with it.
Yes, we definitely are.
And so, I mean, hopefully that's informative for people and puts some things into context.
Yeah. It was definitely enlightening for me.
Thank you. I try.
As usual.
Hopefully next week I can do something fun and not serious. Like, this was kind of draining in the context of everything going on.
Yeah,
So,
I certainly agree with you on that.
and in no way do I think that because I might get some criticism for not talking about gay rights and instead talking about guns, but in no way do I think that one is more important than the other.
Yeah. Well, in the rest of the show, I think we cover a little bit of the gay rights issues and some more fun or less fun things.
Yeah. All right. That is my spiel. Thank you for having me on again.
All right. Thanks for being enlightening as usual, Tom.
I am an old man, and most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes it all even.
Yep. We still have a Potter this week.
Yes, but it's different, right?
It's a little different. I mean, I've given multiple Potters in 1 week before, but this
is still different.
This is still different because it's still related to Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm titling this one. They actually said that.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's still Potter Awards because they are very pottery.
Right.
Sacramento Baptist preacher Roger Jimenez took the...
Wait, I'm interrupting you.
What?
You need to state who or exactly...
No, I'm going to lead into it.
No, I know, but...
Okay, so the
that
first
way
one...
you explain
first
yourself.
one goes to Roger Jimenez.
And you have yet to say first one what?
First Potter Award.
Oh, I was thinking as the Potter Award is to people who have made horrible quotes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll go with that. Horrible quotables.
Right.
Okay.
This is why they are Potters, because of what they had to say.
Okay. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am done ranting.
I'll try again.
All right.
Sacramento Baptist preacher Roger Jimenez took to the pulpit hours after a mass shooting in Orlando, Florida that left 50 dead and dozens injured. But instead of words of comfort, Jimenez offered up praise for the killer and urged more killings of LGBT people.
I can't believe that.
So I do have sound bites. Let me try and pull them up. Here we go.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans. Today, people say, like, well, aren't you sad that 50 sodomites died? Here's the problem with that. It's like the equivalent of asking me, what if you asked me, hey, are you sad that 50 pedophiles were killed today? No, I think that's great. I think that helps society. I think Orlando, Florida is a little safer tonight. Now that 50, the tragedy is that more of them didn't die. I mean, the tragedy is I'm kind of upset that he didn't finish the job.
I'm going to pause it right there.
Is this explicit show, by the way?
Oh, yes.
That is a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, fuck
Anyways.
that guy, seriously.
I can't believe someone actually says something like that.
This is why I've had a frustrating day, because I went through a bunch of sound bites for this. And holy shit.
What is wrong with him?
All right, so let's...
Fine.
Because these people are predators. They are abusers. They take advantage of people. And look, as Christians, we need to take the stand that it is not our job to sit there and say, oh, this is a tragedy, or oh, this is something we mourn. Or look, the Bible paints a picture that these are wicked people. That's right. These are evil people. Are you there in Romans chapter 1? Look at verse 24. People say, well, why have you given up on the sodomites? Don't you want to reach them and bring them into church and try to convert them? Look, here's the problem with that. Why would I try to reach someone that God gave up on?
So, there you go.
That is so freaking messed up. I mean, he says that they're the bad people. He just praised and, said a bunch of cheers to the fact that 50 people just freaking died.
Yeah.
What is wrong with him? I mean, that's just nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that's what I was talking about earlier in the show, about how the Christian ideology is very much the same as the Islamic ideology on this. Mm-hmm. And this is showing it.
Oh, damn, yeah.
So, I have more.
Okay.
Okay, this is Stephen Anderson, Arizona pastor who has a history of anti-LGBT rhetoric, and that certainly did not stop after the Orlando shooting. So here you go.
Okay.
Hey everybody, Pastor Stephen Anderson here from Faithful Word Baptist Church in Tempe, Arizona. And I just wanted to record a quick video about the news this morning about the shooting in Orlando. I guess a Muslim terrorist went into a gay bar and shot him up, and there's 50 sodomites, homosexuals that have been killed, and another 50 some odd injured. And then the Muslim guy himself was shot by the police, it sounds like. And here's the good news and the bad news about this. The good news is that there's 50 less pedophiles in this world, because these homosexuals are a bunch of disgusting perverts and pedophiles. That's who was a victim here, plain and simple. And so the good news is that at least 50 of these pedophiles are not going to be harming children anymore.
All right, I got to stop it right there.
Are you fucking kidding?
Yeah.
Because they're gay, they go after children? That's his response?
Yeah, that's basically what he's saying.
Jesus Christ, what an ass.
So this is the problem with that side of Christianity. They equate pedophilia with homosexuality.
Exactly.
But here's the problem. They don't take and turn the mirror around and look at the clergy and pedophilia.
That's exactly where I was just going to go.
So,
are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So he's got more to say.
Fine.
I don't know if we'll get all the way through the clip. So
yeah.
But the bad news is that this is now going to be used, I'm sure, to push for gun control, where law-abiding, normal Americans are not going to be allowed to have guns for self-defense. And then I'm sure it's also going to be used to push an agenda against so-called hate speech. So Bible-believing Christian preachers who preach what the Bible actually says about homosexuality, that it's vile, that it's disgusting, that they're reprobates, we're going to be blamed. Like, oh, it's all extremism. It's not just the Muslims, it's the Christians. I'm sure that that's coming. I'm sure that people are going to start attacking, Bible-believing Christians now because of what this guy did. Now, let me just be real clear. I've never advocated for violence. I don't believe in, taking the law into our own hands. I would never go in and shoot up a gay bar, so-called. I don't believe it's right for us to just be a vigilante. We're supposed to obey the law of the land and obey the powers that be. So I would never take things into my own hands or become a vigilante. But I will say this, the Bible says that homosexuals should be put to death in Leviticus 20:13. Obviously, it's not right for somebody to just, shoot up the place because that's not going through the proper channels. But these people all should have been killed anyway, but they should have been killed through the proper channels, as in they should have been executed by a righteous government that would have, tried them, convicted them, and saw them executed. Because in Leviticus 20:13, God's perfect law, he put the death penalty on murder, and he also put the death penalty on homosexuality. That's what...
So
that man is in the wrong fucking country. I mean, truly. The government that puts down the oh, God, I'm just so frustrated.
Yeah, I know. I'm not real sure.
I love how he says he doesn't advocate for violence, and yet that's exactly what he just did.
Yeah. Well, he's not advocating for
He
vigilante.
just said it was a good thing that 50 people just died.
Yeah. But he wants the government to execute them.
Exactly. He's in the wrong country.
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah.
I mean, but, such hypocrites. I don't advocate for violence, but yet I started out my little speech saying how great it is that, 50 people died. And by the end of my speech, I'm also going to tell you that technically anyone who's gay should be put to death. But I'm not going to advocate violence or anything.
Not at all.
Yeah, anyways,
I got one more.
Yeah, fine.
Extremist anti-gay activist Theodore Shubat posted an hour-long video in response to the massacre at a gay nightclub in Orlando, in which he expressed no sympathy for those sodomites who died because the entire tragedy was nothing more than scum killing scum.
Oh, tell me we're not listening to that whole thing.
Oh, I wouldn't force that on anybody.
The sodomites are criminals. You think these bastards in this nightclub were innocent people? They were not innocent people. Our hearts and prayers go out to them. Why would you pray for the sodomite agenda? The sodomites who were killed in this club were not innocent people. They were not good people. They were not people who were just victims, who we should just feel sorry for. It was scum killing scum. Of course, I don't believe in vigilantism. Write that one down. Theodore Shubat does not believe in vigilantism. I don't believe in taking out a gun and killing people at random. For some reason, people keep saying that, and I've said this 100 times. I don't believe in vigilantism. But I do believe in the government killing the sodomites. I do believe in the government arresting the sodomites and executing them for homosexuality. Under my rule, that sodomite club in Orlando, it would have been destroyed. It would have been demolished, bulldozed, and all the bastards in there would have been arrested, tried, found guilty for homosexuality, and executed. Bottom line. Now, what this guy did was vigilantism. And vigilantism, the citizen doesn't have the authority to be a vigilante. That's the state's job to kill the sodomites.
There you go. State's job to kill sodomites.
Where the hell do they think they are?
Apparently,
I swear.
Apparently in Christian theocracy land.
Jesus Christ.
So this is what I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bunch of Christians who are advocating for the death of gay people after an Islamist. That's not even the right word.
They're not advocating for violence, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course they're not. So, and this is why I said this is a religious issue. This isn't an Islamic issue. This is a Christian issue. This is a Jewish issue. This is a Hindu issue.
Well, it just right now seems like all the Christian religious mice are coming out of the woodwork right now.
Yeah, well, because we had a big, huge thing
Right.
happen, and they're taking this as their 15 minutes. These guys that do this, they're not new to this.
No, of course not.
I've heard them before. I just really generally refuse to talk about them because they're such assholes.
And disgusting human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anyone to die, first of all, to be slaughtered like that. And they're like all gung-ho for it. Good news, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And, you know, everyone in there that was murdered was innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, and there were women in there as well as men that were killed.
Right.
And they have absolutely no heart whatsoever, no empathy, nothing. And they expect people to join them? Are they fucking kidding me?
I know.
That's such horse shit.
I agree.
Again, I'm sorry, I'm sticking with religion is a bad word.
I know.
In my vocabulary, it is.
I know. I hate it. I can't stand. This is why I am an anti-theist.
I totally.
Situations like this.
Yeah.
Because their religion teaches them that this is okay. Even if you are a liberal Christian, you are defending this position.
Mm-hmm.
You can get mad at me all you want. But by promoting Christianity, you are promoting all of it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. It all comes with it. But just to be so inhumane like that, and to just wish that upon anyone, even if they don't see things the same way you do, or vice versa.
Right.
To just have that, I don't even know what the word is, just cruelty is the only thing I can think of. But to be like that towards another human being is just disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I know we're already going long, but I did not want to end on such a low note.
Okay, that would be great.
Not on something like this.
Yeah, okay.
So something amazing did happen today.
Okay.
So in Cole County, Missouri, they sparked an outrage after voting Tuesday morning not to lower the flags flying over the county buildings to half staff to honor those who died in the worst mass shootings in recent history.
Mm-hmm.
The county's presiding commissioners voted 2-1 against lowering the flags to honor the victims of the massacre after President Obama ordered all government facilities to fly at half staff. Commissioner Chris something, I can't say that now, last name, I'm not even going to try, said, I want to honor those who have served our country, but we can't lower it for every event like this that occurs.
Are you kidding?
Little did he know that one of the victims was an officer in the reserves, which falls under the rules for the county lowering flags.
Ooh.
So, a follower of the original model project alerted me to this.
Oh,
Early this morning. And we got some activism going, sending emails and social media comments and all that good stuff that we do.
Right, right.
Well, later that same day, one of the council members changed their mind, and it became a 2-1 in favor of lowering the flags.
I just think it's absurd that they weren't going to do it in the first place.
They weren't going to do it because gay people died.
Right, of course. That's their freaking issue on it.
Yeah. When they were informed that this is an election year and you were up for election, they changed their mind pretty quick.
That's still disgusting in itself. I'm sorry.
That itself. But they did change their mind.
Yeah, I know, but that's for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is an example where this kind of activism that I promote and I do
helps.
Actually worked.
Right.
It does work occasionally.
I mean, it's a mass shooting. What difference does it make where it happened?
Yeah, it's one of the worst tragedies we've had in a long time.
It's the highest casualty numbers. For the modern mass shootings,
right.
It is the highest
right.
now. And it doesn't matter where it took place, you know, it should be half staff. I mean,
I agree.
It's just respectful,
right.
You know?
So kudos on all the activists who sent in emails and social media comments and just, went and took care of this.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's all the yakking I got for you.
I think that's enough for today.
I think so. We always like to hear your feedback, so leave us a voicemail at 704-802-YAK or an email at podcast@secularyakking.com.
More input.
All comments are welcome. We like to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. You also can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google+.
If you like our show, head over to your podcast directory of choice and leave us a 5-star review. If you really like the show, support the show on our Podbean patron page.
I'd buy that for $1.
And we'll be back next week with more yakking to please your eardrums.
This show is a member of the Secular Outreach Network, an affiliation of Secular Media Producers. Learn more at secularoutreach.com.